try to give him to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career.
Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that,
let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's gonna be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him.
Roy Jones Jr. believes Canelo Alvarez can't cope with Terence Crawford, saying Canelo has lost the energy and sharpness he once had. He voiced disappointment in Canelo's current form, questioning why he appears weaker at this stage of his career. In contrast, Jones praised Crawford's focus, determination, and elite skills. He argued that weight won't matter much because Crawford's timing, technique, and ring IQ can offset any size advantage. According to Jones, facing a fighter as skilled and...
It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not going to always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
Roy Jones cautions that if Canelo enters the fight overconfident, believing a win over Terence is certain, he could be in for a rude awakening. Jones emphasized that underestimating Terence's skill and strategy could lead to Canelo taking a tough and...
It's a hard one to call, and I'm going to tell you why it's a hard one to call. It's a hard one to call because it'll all be predicated upon how Canelo approaches the fight. If Canelo approaches the fight like he's the man and he can box and outbox Terence Crawford, he'll get beat. If he comes out and shows that he really wants to go out and prove whether he's still the best, he might win. So it all depends on which Canelo come to the dance.
Olympic boxer Omari Jones has confidently predicted that Terence Crawford will beat Canelo Alvarez. He noted that Crawford's weight gain for this fight is unlike most fighters who move up divisions. Instead of adding bulk recklessly, Crawford has taken a smart, well-planned approach. Jones explained that Crawford has maintained his speed and agility through the right diet, conditioning, and hard work to handle the higher weight.
The grit, and me personally meeting Crawford several times, it's like the man is just so competitive. It's like I don't even have to say nothing to him. He'll just like, man, when we sparring, it's like his competitiveness is always gonna put him over the edge, and then he just has that I'm not gonna let you bully me, or his skill set. I know they talk about Charlo when Charlo moved up, but I feel like it may be a little bit different for Canelo this time around because Crawford took the moving up in weight classes serious. He did the dieting, he did the training. So I feel like when you put in work like that, it's a win-win.
So you don't think Crawford, gaining that weight, because I saw him, he's pretty big. You don't
Yes.
think that's going to be a disadvantage for him in this fight?
No, it looked like he put it on the right way.
Even though taking on a bigger opponent is a tough challenge, Jones believes Crawford's skill, discipline, and dedication will allow him to adjust effectively. He pointed out that Crawford isn't simply adding weight for size, but shaping his body to carry it efficiently while keeping the speed and sharpness that make him dangerous. For Jones, this fight showcases a disciplined athlete pushing his limits and proving he can rise to the occasion.
Right way. Um, you know, the nutrition, the like I said, the training. Crawford, he trains hard. So I feel like I know they say he probably went up to like 185, so he has to lose that weight. But I think if he did it the right way, which I know he did, he'll be successful in September.
And I know you, like we discussed earlier, we talked with your pro debut, and now you're 3-0. Your last fight, July 19th against Blanco, and it was actually your third win by knockout.
Yes.
Super proud of you. How are you feeling about your pro career so far?
I'm feeling great about my pro career. I definitely feel like it's off to a great start. My pro debut in my hometown, and then I was my second fight, Atlantic City on the Boots card, and then my third fight on the Bam Rodriguez undercard. So Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, they're putting me on these cards, shining light on me, giving me the TV time.
Former world champion Paulie Malignaggi has weighed in on Crawford's transformation, focusing on the added size he's bringing into this fight. Malignaggi pointed out that while Crawford looks noticeably bigger, it should be seen as an advantage, rather than a drawback. He believes Crawford has managed to put on mass without sacrificing the speed, footwork, and timing that make him so effective.
Listen, let's call a spade, right? When you get bigger, you do slow down a little bit, but that doesn't mean he's going to be ineffective at that weight. I think it's a bona fide good point to make. Sometimes it does wind up that way, but I'll give you Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. Put on weight, was muscular as he moved up the weight classes, and it didn't affect him. Good old Manny Pacquiao did the same thing, So there's times where it affects, and there's times where I guess if you put it on the right way. Only Crawford knows it because the way he's training, right? Because you're going to be sparring with this added weight. You're going to be doing the boxing training with this added weight. So you're going to know how to, maybe taper it down if you need to, or keep it going if you need to. I think over the course of camp, if you start to feel too yoked up and, you get big and then, you're sacrificing reflexes, you're sacrificing athleticism, I think you're going to feel it.
Crawford, however, appears to have found the perfect balance, adding the strength and durability needed to face a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo, while still keeping the speed and sharpness that define his style. Malignaggi praised Crawford's professionalism and dedication in training, noting that the extra size seems to complement his skill set rather than hinder it. In his view, Crawford can still perform at his peak despite
heavyweight kind of weight. What's your thought about that?
Yeah, Roy Jones is Roy Jones, but also Terence Crawford is Terence Crawford. But John Ruiz is not Canelo Alvarez. So that's another aspect of that comparison. And yes, exactly what the champ said, exactly what Abel Sanchez said, you're going to put on weight. You're going to be a different fighter. And I can say this even as a fighter as myself, as I've gotten heavier in my retirement, I try and move around the gym. It just feels different. And even when you start camp, you feel different in the beginning than you do at the end. But listen, we're still 4 or 5 weeks away. I don't know exactly what Terence is weighing right now. And even if he does say what he weighs, man, he's gone out there and said he's weighed, all types of crazy numbers just to get media to respond. So it's really not really going to know until the fight and we see these guys next to each other. He might look bigger right now, but he might not be that heavy.
Renowned boxing analyst Max Kellerman has broken down the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight in detail. He emphasized that Crawford's jab has become one of the sharpest and most effective tools in the sport. Fast, precise, and capable of controlling the pace of a bout. While Canelo once had a similarly strong jab, Kellerman pointed out that it has declined in recent years. This, he said, gives Crawford a clear advantage in range control and point scoring. Beyond the jab, Kellerman praised Crawford's high-level ring
attribute. First attribute, best jab.
Crawford.
Best defense.
Crawford. Nowadays, Crawford. I would say early in the fight, Canelo. And earlier in his career, Canelo. But he hasn't been that kind of fighter in recent years. Although Crawford is also hittable, with any fighter, when you talk about their defense, the question is not, can they be hit with a shot? You take punches. Everyone, the greatest defensive fighters ever get hit. Pernell Whitaker, Willie Pep, Floyd Mayweather, they all get hit. The question is, can you hit them with combinations? And both guys are hard to hit. With the two-piece, hard to hit.
So who has the best footwork out of the two?
In terms of cutting off the ring, last fight notwithstanding, Canelo has gotten much better at cutting off the ring.
Kellerman compared this with Canelo's usual dependence on size, strength, and power, which often lets him dominate smaller fighters. He said that if Crawford can slow down Canelo's pressure and turn the fight into a tactical battle, the advantage will swing heavily toward Crawford. According to Kellerman, this combination of technical...
Early in his career, he had a problem with that and was much more comfortable counterpunching. But overall, I have to say Crawford. If you go down the list and ask me about tactical advantages, most of them are Crawford. What Canelo has is size, and as a result, physical strength and punching power. Canelo also has a great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford.
Okay.
But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton.
Popular boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult gave a fair and respectful take on the fight. He recognized Canelo's physical strength and the hard training camps that have kept him successful at the highest level. Canelo's toughness, non-stop, pressure, and sharp counterpunches make him a serious threat to any fighter. At the same time, Showbiz praised Crawford's unique background, noting that his early wrestling experience gave him a rare skill to read opponents, counter their tactics.
Canelo uses his legs, he uses his core, and then his neck itself to lift up Bivol like Bivol was a featherweight. That is a huge representation of how strong Canelo is. When you look at his workouts, you can tell why he was able to do that. All these damn neck exercises that I wouldn't dare do. Okay, that stuff looks painful. The squatting and all that stuff that he's doing is exactly why Canelo Alvarez, honestly, is a strong fighter. He tried to do it again with William Skull. William Skull shook out of it, but he is a bull. Listen, Terence Bud Crawford is strong. He is, okay? And he understands leverage and he understands those things because he wrestled. Honestly, very true. But Saul Canelo Alvarez is also extremely...
Across the boxing world, one main point stands out. Crawford's strategy will decide the fight. Experts say this isn't just another bout, but a career-defining test that could earn him a place among the all-time greats. A win over Canelo would end doubts and push Crawford's legacy even higher. To achieve that, he must stay precise, patient, and adaptable, while avoiding risky exchanges where Canelo's power could hurt him most. Analysts believe Crawford's best plan is to control distance, use angles to slow Canelo's attack, and gradually wear him down. They add this fight will test mental focus as much as physical ability.
He understands that he has to be smart. And I think with this one specifically, it ain't just about being smart. He knows he has to look like he's never looked before. Because again, if he doesn't and he beats Canelo, everybody's just going to say, well, that's Crawford. You know, so I think he knows that this is the performance of a lifetime and everything has to look right. He knows in order for it to look right, he can't just go out there and let the dog go. The dog is, you know, he got to work his way up to the dog. Hey, show the clip real quick. I don't know if you showed it already, but this is the dog you're talking about right here, right? And so this is, I pulled this clip right here. I seen it on social media this morning.
Don't do that. That's what I'm saying.
And I pulled this clip, right? But this is Terence.
That's who he is.
He's not gonna swing on Canelo. He already know that part of the game. But what I asked you, were you ever trying to send a message to your opponents? He's letting you know, and it's no act. And that's what I really wanted to show, that's not an act.
No.
That's not, there's 30 security
I
guards.
don't know, it feels a little contrived.
You think so?
I think a lot of people feel it's a little like.
Well, I'm glad you used a big word that most of us don't know.
Hey, I don't fight as good as you guys. I had to learn some big words, right, to make up for that.
Don't look it up. Just ignore what he said.
You need big words to get out of fights. You know, you need big words to get out of fights. But okay. So case in point, our guy Hafey, sitting right there, producer extraordinaire. He had a picture of Terence Crawford in New York for the Crawford Spence press conference. And there was this look when Terence, he gave this look to Spence that reminded me of like Dwight Muhammad Qawi and a young George Foreman. And
super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga has given his take on Crawford's mindset before the Canelo fight. He advised Crawford to stay true to the style and skills that brought him success, instead of changing too much to handle the size gap. Berlanga admitted that moving up 2 weight classes is a huge test, but said it also balances things out in some ways. He believes Crawford's skill, ring IQ, and ability to adapt will be more important than trying to match Canelo's strength. Berlanga stressed that Crawford should focus on sharp execution, discipline, and staying calm under pressure. He added that no matter the result, Crawford is already proving the mindset of a real champion by taking on such a dangerous fight. For Berlanga, the bravery to face...
First of all, he got to go in there and he just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, show his IQ, show him why he's a 2-time undisputed, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. There's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. That could be a difference in a fight. Because obviously, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a foot of power. I'm a foot of that size difference, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, we'll just all know that, hey, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not, he can't really, he's testing himself. He's testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him, I don't got no doubt in my mind. He's a 2-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So, and I don't think none's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size, you know what I'm saying? And Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So he just gotta go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only shit that throws the fight off is the size and obviously the power. And Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ, you know what I'm saying? And Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys, so I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either, you know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Super middleweight contender Edgar Berlanga has weighed in on Crawford's mindset going into the Canelo fight. He advised Crawford to stick with the same style and approach that has made him successful, rather than trying to change too much to deal with the size difference. Berlanga admitted that moving up 2 weight classes is a major challenge, but also pointed out that it can help balance things in some ways. In his view, Crawford's skill, ring IQ, and ability to adapt will matter far more than trying to match Canelo's raw strength.
Maybe he's a little overrated.
Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez at 168 pounds.
Canelo's really good. Really good. But I think Crawford is special. I know he hasn't fought the resume everyone wants, but you have that or you don't have that ingredient. I think he has it. Canelo's really good. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? The greatness is within Crawford. It's in his desire. It's in his mind. It's in his makeup, where he came from. I know he's moving up in weight class. Can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.